Hello folks, Jason Chrisman here at JC's Bees. Here it is Wednesday, May 1st, and we're sitting at about 72 degrees. Rather windy, that's because we have more storms moving in again this week. I just came out from lunch and I was listening to the local news, and the meteorologist said that we've had Thursday and Friday storms since mid-November. Of course, back then they were winter storms and now they're just thunderstorms, but still that's quite a long stretch. Must be something about Thursdays and Fridays coming through Ohio. I don't know. Maybe there's a special in Columbus and it swings in to pick up something. I don't have a clue. But anyway, just thought that was interesting. So we got storms coming again, moving in tonight, Thursday, Friday, and then sometime Saturday afternoon they're supposed to let up. So got a nice long stretch of rain. It came to my attention the other day that it's been the last few Wednesdays that I've recorded my videos just to avoid the rain and to be able to have the opportunity to be outside and record these videos for everybody. So just thought that was interesting and I wanted to share that. This week, as far as blooms, I'm seeing the redbud tree has fully bloomed. The apple trees are just banging right now. They are completely loaded. Matter of fact, if you're upwind from them when the wind blows, it smells quite lovely. I've also seen the mustard plant is in bloom. Now, I've never really noticed a whole lot of attention from the bees on the mustard plant, and my reasoning for that is all the other things in bloom must be a better nectar source, or they produce nectar and pollen. For instance, the dandelions, they're still in bloom and they're still coming on strong, and they produce both nectar and pollen. So I don't know what the mustard plant produces. Maybe it's a nectar only plant. Maybe that's the reason it's not seeing any attention. I'm not real sure, but that's just my 2 cents on that. I can tell you a similar thing that will happen, and a lot of new beekeepers do this, and they expect to see results and then they get discouraged when they don't. And I don't want to discourage new beekeepers from planting any pollinator plants, because it is a very good thing and I highly recommend you do it. I'm about to plant more myself. But what happens every year, or I hear people say every year, is I planted a few, let's say, cone flowers around my hives, but I haven't seen any bees on them. Well, the reason may be, just take this little example. Say you plant 10 cone flowers right next to your hives. They come in bloom and there's no bees. Across the street from your house is 35 acres, let's say, of soybeans, and they're in bloom. Where do you think the bees are going to go? 10 cone flowers or 30 acres or 35 acres of soybeans? The soybeans. Sure, there might be one bee here or there that goes to the cone flowers, but nothing like you're going to expect to see. So don't get discouraged about this. It's just how it works. It's good. You should be glad, actually. Your bees have choices. That's what you want. You don't want them to be subject to only one monoculture to go by, one plant to go by. So be glad and keep planting your pollinator flowers. Like I said, I'm about to be planting some myself. I'm going to be planting some borage this year. I just got a 1/4 pound in the mail, and I think with all this rain coming, next couple days might be a good day to get it out. So in today's video, what I want to talk about is a little swarm prevention trick. I've never tried it, but I've seen it done before. Now, the actual subject, I guess I have tried. What we're going to do is we're going to set up a swarm trap here in my bee yard. This is just in case maybe I'm making inspections through my nukes or my hives, and maybe I miss a swarm cell. And the next day, the colony decides to swarm. Well, my hopes would be that my swarm trap would draw them in and they wouldn't leave my property, and I'd be able to transfer them to another box. So that's the kind of idea I see behind this swarm trap in the bee yard. And we're going to set one up today. And you know, my hopes is to not ever miss a swarm cell. I do want to say I do not recommend this as your only source of swarm prevention. If you see swarm cells, you need to tear them down, or make splits. That's another good way to get rid of those swarm cells. But if you just neglect and do nothing, they're going to swarm. So if that's the case, then maybe this is a good fallback tool to go by. But at either rate, we're going to dive right in right now, and you can see what you think. Okay, so to begin with my swarm trap, what I've got is I screwed an arm or a board on this side with a 2.5 inch hole on this side. What that hole will do will allow me to hang it easily from a tree. I took an inner cover, a solid inner cover without the hole in the middle, and I nailed it to the bottom of a deep box. On top, I've got an inner cover, but it's a special inner cover, and I don't know that that's going to make a difference, but what I'm thinking it may do is help these pheromones and smells from inside this swarm trap travel just a little bit more, and I see that as a good thing. So it's got 1/2 inch holes down this side, 1/2 inch holes down this side, and the middle it's got the slot, but it's got like a queen excluder over top of it, and that is going to be my inner cover for the top. Then over top of that, I will put this solid inner cover on top of that, and then I will strap it all down with this winch strap. So let me move you in a little closer and kind of show you the general idea here with the setup. Okay, so one of the big things that you're going to need to even encourage a swarm to move in is drone comb. And you can see I've got some wax moth damage here. So this is a frame I just found a couple days ago. So I'm willing to sacrifice that frame because of the wax moth damage and hope that it draws in a swarm. But this dark brood comb has a lot of pheromones in it, and those pheromones are going to release from this hive, and they're going to draw the attention of scout bees, and that's what you want, scout bees to find this. If we go over to the next frame, kind of the same thing. This is from the nuke that I showed you guys that died early in the winter. You can see we've got some mold growing on here, but we've also got the dark comb. It's a dark brood comb. So I've got 3 frames of dark brood comb. I've got 2 frames that are brand new of waxed plastic foundation. And then over here I've got some miscellaneous frames that didn't get drawn out all the way or have been recoated with wax. So that's going to be the major part that you're going to need right here. This alone may do what you need to draw in a swarm. There goes a wax moth there flying away. But there is a couple things that you can do to help boost your chances a little bit more. You're going to take some cotton swabs. And of course, if you're a new beekeeper or new to beekeeping at all, it's probably going to be a few years, or maybe you don't have any desire to raise queens. But if you do, when you go to raise queens, any queen that dies, doesn't get mated, whatever her problem is, and you have to get rid of her, throw her down in some rubbing alcohol, some 100 proof vodka, whatever, some alcohol, and smash her up. Use a stick or a pencil and reach down in there and smash her up. What that's going to do is it's going to release all these pheromones into this alcohol, and then you just take your cotton swabs and you put some on it, just like so. I'm going to stick that right on top of the frames here, just like that. And that's going to have queen pheromones in it. So that's going to help encourage a swarm to move this way. Now another thing you can do, maybe you don't plan to raise any queens. You could purchase some Swarm Commander, which I have linked down in the video description. And you can put a couple sprays right on your cotton swab. Rub it on the frames a little bit, leave that smell in there. Get that smell moving around. So we're going to lay that right up there like that. And I've also seen people just, you know, a light mist here and there on the frames of the Swarm Commander. So I got that in there, and I'll tell you, the Swarm Commander smells very good. So now that you got that in there, I'm going to place my inner cover upside down, and that'll allow a little bit more room. It's not something I would encourage on an active beehive, just because they're going to draw a lot of burr comb. But I'm going to lay it on there like that, and I'm going to get my other inner cover on there, and we're going to get ready to hang it. And I think I'll put this inner cover upside down so it doesn't hold any rain. So it was pretty easy to hang in the tree. All I had to do was cut a little limb off, slide the hole from this board that I screwed onto the hive down over the limb, and then I took my strap that's holding down my inner covers or my lids, and I took the excess strap that was left and wrapped around the tree. That'll keep this whole swarm trap from swinging in the wind off of the pivot point up here. Now, I'm not saying for sure that this trap is going to catch a swarm. The only reason I have this set up is for a prevention, just in case situation. Maybe one of these nukes here in my yard, maybe when I'm making inspections one day, I overlook a swarm cell. What this was going to do is hopefully encourage any of the scout bees to go to here and not go way up in the trees or clear over into the neighbor's woods, whatever the situation may be. I didn't show you earlier, but on the front here is where my entrance is. Right here. It's got a 1-inch hole going up in at an angle, that way rain can't get into it. I'll keep an eye on it the next few days, just see if anybody is intrigued by the smells coming out of there. So what do you think? You think you'll be setting up a swarm trap in your bee yard? Do you already have them set up in your bee yard? I guess I've always had bee equipment sitting around in the bee yard that wasn't being used or occupied by bees, but I never took the time to throw in the cotton ball with the queen lure or the queen pheromone or any swarm commander. So we'll see if that intrigues anything. And hey, maybe it's just that my management on the hives is that good and I just don't have any swarming. That could be. I don't want to say that it is, because I know of times I've missed a couple swarm cells, but something seems to be working for me. Or maybe I'm not even seeing the swarm. Maybe it's just coming straight out and going straight to the neighbors and saying, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. Get it? Be ya. Get it? Is a joke. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, throw me a big thumbs up. That'll help boost it in the YouTube search ranks and make it easier for other beekeepers to find. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and make sure you click on the little bell so you get notified when I release new videos. I'd also like to invite you to come over and check out my Patreon page and maybe help support my content. Now, in the next week or so, I'm going to be changing a few of the things on my Patreon page. I want to, my plans is to be dropping, and I'm not sure where I'm going to do it yet, but I'm going to be releasing a monthly rundown on things to do in the beehive. And it's going to go under one of my already set tiers on my Patreon page. And every month that will be released at the beginning of the month, and it's just some things for you as a new beekeeper possibly to say, hey, I need to check these things. And this is kind of what I need to be doing this month. So if that's something that may help you out, you might keep an eye open for that. And like I said, I hope to be adding that in the next few days to week. So keep an eye open for that. And a huge shout out to all of my content supporters. I greatly appreciate you. And hey, we'll see everybody next Sunday. Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate you too.